All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the history of the Boston Bruins.
The Bruins, huh?
You know, that legendary team
Yeah.
with a history packed with stories.
Oh, we've got stories, all right.
We're going to unearth some gems today, stuff that'll make you the go-to Bruins expert.
The kind of stuff that'll make you the most interesting person at the bar, right?
Exactly. Now, picture this.
Okay.
It's 1924, and we've got Charles Francis Adams, this grocery tycoon.
A grocery tycoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He decides to buy the NHL's first U.S. franchise.
Wow.
And get this. He wanted a name that was powerful, something that matched his grocery chain's colors. Brown and yellow.
Wait, so the Bruins were almost yellow.
Can you imagine? Yellow and brown?
That's a bold choice.
Bold is one way to put it.
Luckily, his secretary stepped in and suggested Bruins.
Thank goodness for secretaries.
Right. But Adams was a visionary, and he didn't stop at the name.
Oh, no.
He brought in Art Ross
Art Ross, the legend.
as the team's general manager and coach.
And this guy, he was ahead of his time.
Oh, absolutely.
He invented beveled-edge pucks.
You know, the ones we use today,
And mesh nets.
things we totally take for granted.
The guy was a genius.
Now, those early years, they were a bit of a mixed bag for the Bruins.
Yeah, they had some growing pains.
But then, 1926 rolls around, and Eddie Shore arrives.
Oh, Eddie Shore. The guy was tough as nails.
Tough. This guy drove through a blizzard to make it to a game.
No way.
Showed up with frostbite.
Oh, man.
And still scored the winning goal.
Unbelievable.
He was a 7-time All-Star, 4-time Hart Trophy winner.
The real deal.
A total game changer.
And with Shore leading the charge, the Bruins formed a line that became legendary. The Dynamite line.
Oh yeah, Cooney Weiland, Dit Clapper, and Dutch Gaynor.
An absolute offensive powerhouse.
They took the Bruins to their first Stanley Cup in 1929.
Now, what's fascinating is Art Ross, he predicted a rule change that would allow forward passing
So he drilled his team on this new style of play.
before it was even legal.
Gave him a massive advantage.
The guy was a mastermind.
And now, the 1930s, this was a period of pure domination for the Bruins.
They were on fire.
5 first-place finishes.
Wow.
4 Vezina trophies for Tiny Thompson.
And another 4 Hart Trophies for Eddie Shore.
But there's one event that really stands out.
Oh.
A head-scratcher.
I love a good head scratcher.
It was the only forfeited game in modern NHL history.
Wait, a forfeited game? What happened?
1933, game against Chicago.
Okay.
The Bruins scored 2 goals late in the game, a little controversial,
I see.
and Chicago's coach, furious,
What did he do?
pulls his team off the ice in protest.
Can you imagine that happening today?
It'd be chaos.
Total chaos.
It shows how much the game has changed.
Not just the rules, but sportsmanship, too.
Right, big time.
So as the 1930s were wrapping up, the Bruins welcomed another incredible line, the Kraut line.
Milt Schmidt, Bobby Bauer, and Woody Dumart.
They were known for their speed and finesse,
A totally different style from the Dynamite line.
but equally effective.
Oh yeah,
And they had Frank Brimsek in goal,
Mr. Zero.
with those incredible shutout streaks. By 1939, the Bruins were already a dynasty.
8 first-place finishes,
4 Stanley Cup Finals appearances.
2 Stanley Cup wins.
An incredible start for any franchise.
They were innovators, constantly adapting and finding new ways to win.
But the Bruins' journey, well, it was far from
Where
over.
the game started.
The 1940s brought a whole new set of challenges and triumphs.
They kicked off the decade with a record-breaking 23-game unbeaten streak.
23 games.
And another Stanley Cup win in 1941.
They were unstoppable.
But then, World War II hit.
And like many teams, the Bruins felt the impact.
Key players enlisted, and their performance suffered.
It was a tough time for everyone.
But amidst it all, Det Clapper, one of the Dynamite line legends, he retires.
In 1947.
After an incredible 20 seasons with the team.
20 seasons, that's dedication.
He was the first NHL player to reach that milestone.
Wow, that's amazing. So what about the 1950s? Did the Bruins get back to their championship form?
The 50s were a bit of a roller coaster. Some Stanley Cup Finals appearances, but no wins.
Ah, so close.
And then came the dark years.
Dark years. Oh, that doesn't sound good.
1960 to 1967, no playoffs.
Ouch.
The longest drought in Bruins history.
It must have been tough for the fans.
But you know what they say? It's always darkest before the dawn.
This is where Bobby Orr comes in, right?
You got it. 1966, young Bobby Orr signs his first contract with the Bruins.
And this marks the beginning of a new era for the Bruins.
An era that would change the face of hockey forever.
Now things are getting interesting.
Hold on tight, because we're about to dive into the Bobby Orr era, and you
Yeah.
won't want to miss a single detail.
Okay, so we left off with Bobby Orr joining the Bruins back in '66.
A game changer, no doubt.
But it wasn't just him, right?
Oh no, the Bruins made some smart moves, brought in Harry Sinden as coach,
The legendary Harry Sinden.
and they traded for Phil Esposito,
Esposito, wow.
Ken Hodge too.
And Fred Stanfield.
That trade really stick things up.
Yeah. Esposito and Hodge, those guys could score.
A serious offensive boost.
And with Sinden calling the shots,
A master strategist.
things were about to get exciting.
Oh, you bet.
So we've got the young, electrifying Bobby Orr,
A force of nature.
Phil Esposito scoring machine.
And a coach who knew exactly how to use them.
It sounds like a recipe for success.
It was
The late 60s, early
a
70s,
golden age for the Bruins.
they were the team to beat.
Shattering records left and right.
Or Esposito, Cheevers,
Legends in the making.
and then 1970.
1970.
They bring the Stanley Cup back to Boston.
One of the most dramatic finishes in hockey history.
Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Against the St. Louis Blues.
The tension, you could cut it with a knife.
Overtime.
And then Bobby Orr.
That iconic flying goal.
A moment etched in every Bruins fan's memory.
Even if you weren't alive to see it,
You've seen the photo?
the pure joy on Orr's face.
Pure magic.
That season, Orr did something incredible.
Something no one had ever done before. He won 4 major NHL awards.
The Norris, the Art Ross, the Hart, the Conn Smythe.
All in one season.
An unbelievable feat.
And let's not forget Phil Esposito.
That same year, he became the first NHL player to score 100 points in a season.
They were an offensive juggernaut.
Exhilarating to watch.
They win another cup in '72.
Orr scores the game winner again.
They were building a dynasty.
But even dynasties change.
Right.
1975, the Bruins make a trade.
A trade that sent shockwaves through the hockey world.
They traded Phil Esposito
What?
and Carol Vednas
To the New York Rangers.
in exchange for Brad Park,
Okay.
Jean Rotel.
And Joe Zanussi?
It's a trade that still sparks debate today.
Esposito, he was the heart and soul of the team.
But Park and Rotel were top-notch players.
It makes you wonder what might have been.
But the Bruins, they kept finding success,
Stanley Cup Finals in '77 and '78.
showing their resilience.
But there was a new force rising in the NHL,
The Edmonton Oilers,
led by the great one, Wayne Gretzky.
a dynasty in the making.
And as we move into the 1980s,
The Bruins welcome another legend,
Ray Bourque
drafted in '79,
quickly established himself as one of the best.
a master on the ice.
Smooth skating, incredible puck handling skills.
He could control the game from the blue line.
Calder Trophy winner in 1980.
It was clear he was going to be a cornerstone of the Bruins' defense.
But the 1980s, a bit of a mixed bag.
Some highs, some lows.
Rick Middleton, Barry Pedersen.
Talented players.
But the Stanley Cup remained out of reach.
They made it to the finals in '88 and '90,
Both times.
thwarted by the Oilers.
Those Oilers teams were something else.
But the Bruins never backed down.
Always gave him a fight.
And then in '86, they make another big trade.
Cam Neely comes to town.
From the Vancouver Canucks,
Cam Neely,
a force of nature.
big, strong, skilled,
And he played with this relentless intensity.
the epitome of a power
He
forward.
became a fan favorite instantly.
You could feel the energy when he was on the ice.
Grit and scoring ability.
Exactly what the Bruins needed.
And his arrival coincided with a resurgence in the Bruins-Canadiens rivalry.
Those games were always intense.
A battle for bragging rights.
Every game felt like a must-watch event.
It was a golden age for that rivalry.
Couldn't get past the Oilers in the finals.
But they did get their revenge on the Canadiens.
Defeating them in the playoffs in '88, '90, '91, and '92.
Sweet victories.
But still, no Stanley Cup.
Conference finals in '91 and '92.
But the Penguins stood in their way.
Led by Mario Lemieux.
Another powerhouse.
It felt like the Bruins were always running into these legendary teams.
And then, the 1994-95 season.
They said goodbye to the Boston Garden.
Their home for over 6 decades.
A bittersweet moment.
So many memories in that building.
As the final game, Bobby Orr takes a final lap around the ice.
A thunderous ovation from the fans.
The end of an era.
And with a new era,
New challenges and triumphs.
they moved into the Fleet Center.
Now known as PD Garden.
1995-96 season.
They were hoping for a fresh start.
But the mid-90s, a turbulent time.
Injuries forced Cam Neely to retire in '96.
A huge loss for the team.
And then, in a move that surprised many,
They traded Ray Bourque. In 2000, after over 2 decades with the team.
He went to the Colorado Avalanche.
Trading away a legend like Bork, that must have been tough.
The Bruins were struggling, looking to shake things up.
They wanted to give Bork a chance to win a cup.
Something he'd come so close to in Boston.
Selfless act.
And he did win it.
With the Avalanche in 2000.
A fitting end to his Hall of Fame career.
Back in Boston, the Bruins were rebuilding.
They missed the playoffs for the first time in almost 30 years in '97.
A new chapter.
They had some young talent.
Joe Thornton, Sergei Samsonov.
Showing promise.
And then 2006.
Peter Chiarelli takes over as GM.
Makes some key moves.
Signs Vio Chara.
A towering defenseman.
And Mark Savard.
A skilled playmaker.
Chiarelli was building a team with size, strength, and offensive power.
But the biggest change came in 2007.
Claude Julien.
The new head coach.
Known for his defensive system.
And his ability to get the best out of his players.
A new era for the Bruins.
Structure, discipline, a renewed sense of purpose.
Back to the playoffs in 2008.
After a 3-year drought.
Lost in the first round to the Canadiens.
But they were moving in the right direction.
Building momentum.
2008-09 season, one of their best ever.
53 wins, 116 points.
Julien wins the Jack Adams Award.
Coach of the Year.
The Bruins were back.
A legitimate Stanley Cup contender.
They make it to the second round of the playoffs.
Lose to the Hurricanes.
But they were gaining valuable experience.
And then, 2011.
It all comes together.
They win their 6th Stanley Cup.
Against the Vancouver Canucks.
In a thrilling 7-game series.
The Bruins were on top of the hockey world again.
A culmination of hard work and resilience.
From the dark years to Stanley Cup champions.
An incredible journey.
And the years that followed.
Continued success.
Stanley Cup final in 2013.
Lost to the Blackhawks.
But still a remarkable accomplishment.
President's Trophy in the 2013-14 season.
The best record in the NHL.
Under Julien, they were a model of consistency.
Always a tough opponent.
Always in the cup conversation.
The Bruins, a rich history, legendary players, unforgettable moments.
And of course, Stanley Cups.
But the game keeps evolving.
And the Bruins have always been a team that looks to the future.
So what happens next?
That's a story for another time.
But one thing is certain.
The Bruins' legacy of resilience and determination continues.
We've seen it all, haven't we?
From those early days.
The grocery store colors.
To those Stanley Cup victories.
Let our ride.
Ups and downs.
But always that drive for the cup.
The Dino Chara captain, leading the way.
Strength and determination.
Patrice Bergeron, a two-way force.
Excellence in every aspect of the game.
Tuukka Rask, that Vezina Trophy winner.
Standing tall in the net.
Incredible saves.
These guys, the whole team.
Carrying on a legacy.
Built on hard work.
Right.
A never-give-up attitude.
But it's not just about the players.
Right.
The heart and soul of the team.
Unwavering support.
Fueling the Bruins' fire.
It's a two-way street.
The team inspires the fans.
The fans lift the team.
Shared passion.
A sense of community.
Makes being a Bruins fan so special.
John Feely, the ultimate Bruins fan.
Bleeds black and gold.
The unwashed Bobby Orr jersey.
The Bruins shrine in his basement.
The custom-built smoker.
Black and gold, of course.
He embodies that Bruins spirit.
It's more than just a game.
A way of life.
Shared passion. Connecting generations.
We've explored almost a century of Bruins history.
Seen the evolution, the triumphs, the setbacks.
What will define their legacy in the years to come?
Tough to say.
The future is unwritten.
But they'll keep chasing that Stanley Cup dream.
With the same ferocity, the same determination.
And the fans will be right there with them.
It's been an amazing deep dive.
Uncovered some gems.
Relived those iconic moments.
A deeper appreciation for this team's legacy.
Go out there, impress your friends.
With your Bruins knowledge.
Maybe even spark a debate about the Esposito trade.
Keep your sticks on the ice.
And we'll catch you on our next deep dive.